So China's taking over the world. Helicopters are now mortal enemies with airplanes, and I'm starting a podcast. I've been wanting to start a podcast for the last maybe, 2 years, and I just haven't. I don't know, I've been scared. I was thinking like, oh, I have to have everything perfect, don't know how to edit, scripting is not my thing, doing all of this fun stuff. I just haven't done it. I haven't sat down and actually taken the time to press record and talk and figure out what I want to talk about. So we're here now. We're doing the thing. Podcast has started. I feel like there's two ways that starting something kind of goes. Because starting is hard, right? Everybody knows that. All the successful people, one of their biggest, things that they say is, oh, just start, whatever. It's like, okay, give me something else. But it's true, right? Starting is probably the hardest thing for many different reasons. And I think there's two main ones, right? Number one would be maybe you think it's too easy. And so you're like, I'll just do it later, right? I just throw the camera up, click record, we'll just go. It's not that hard. I don't need to worry about it. I don't need to type out a script or anything like that. I just click record and go. Totally fair. Number two is probably the exact opposite in the sense of you think it's too hard. So then you get kind of analysis paralysis, I think is what it's called, right? You're like, oh, I need to do the script. I need to figure out the camera angle. I need to figure out the music. I need to figure out a cover photo. I need to have the right tone of voice. I need to do all of this fun stuff. And it's like, you think that it's so hard that you just don't even try. You're like, well, I can't start the podcast if I don't have an intro, right? I can't start the podcast if I don't have music. So now I'm going to waste, months trying to figure out what the best music would be. Sorry, my leg really itches. And I think that's kind of the two ways that people go about it. I think I was a little bit of both. Unfortunately, I was both. I thought it was really easy because after, starting the script and everything, and yeah, I've got maybe some notes here just to make sure I'm going along correctly. But maybe I thought it was too easy, and then also I thought it was too hard. I thought I needed like a cover picture and intro song all figured out and all of this fun stuff. And I realized that it's a lot harder than I thought it was going into it. Because I'm like thinking through, how do I want to talk? Like, what do I want to talk about? And then I'm sitting there thinking, what do I want to talk about? Like, there's so many things to talk about, but I couldn't pinpoint each specific thing, which is wild. So, but I think I got that figured out. And yeah, the goal of this podcast, I just want to show my personality. I want to just have a lot of fun with you guys, talk random stuff, just have fun, right? Be in front of the camera, get the experience to talk to a camera. What's up, camera? And that was really cringe. That was in my notes, you could tell. But yeah, just have fun and talk to the camera. So yeah, we're starting a podcast and got some coffee right before it because I'm a coffee addict. Well, mainly latte. I started drinking coffee when I was like 14, and yeah, super crazy, I know. And like I had way too much, so I was drinking like pots of coffee a day. Like I probably had 18 billion cups of coffee in my lifetime with a B. A lot of you math nerds are probably thinking that's not possible. It's possible, okay? I did it. Proof. There's proof somewhere. You can go look and you can see that there's proof that I did that. But I stopped drinking regular coffee and switched basically only to espresso because when I went to Miami, I don't know if it was an instant coffee I had or what, I had instant coffee, and it felt like immediately it gave me like an ulcer of some sorts or some pain in my throat. And now every time I have coffee, just black coffee, it hurts. It literally hurts. So now I have espresso. And funny enough, actually there's nothing funny about it. I miss coffee. Because I used to drink coffee with creamer in it, but then I used to drink it black. Now I don't drink it at all. I just drink espresso. Speaking of espresso and coffee, do you know where coffee came from? Okay, this is a true story. Okay, this is 100% true. I'm not making any of this up whatsoever. Okay, I'm gonna tell a story where coffee came from. Coffee, imagine this, right? It's 9th century Ethiopia. Okay, 9th. So you're wearing like rags. I actually don't know what they wore back then, but they didn't dress as good as I do. 9th century Ethiopia. And there was this dude chilling underneath a tree, kind of like Isaac Newton did, but no apples. It could have been an apple tree, but I don't think it was. And he's just chilling, right? And he herds goats. That's his job. He herds goats. He's just sitting there, you know, thinking, oh man, I'm kind of tired. He looks over, and his goats are dancing. They're like doing backflips, doing the worm, like all this crazy stuff. One goat's hitting the disco moves. And he's like, what the hell is going on with my goats? Right? He thought maybe he was tired, maybe he was out of it. Again, I'm not making any of this up. The goats actually did it. There's video proof online somewhere. Just go look for it. The goats are dancing. He like goes over there, he's trying to figure this out. He finds out that these goats are eating like little berries, right? They're like red berry type things. He's like, all right, this can't be good. Let me try it. As any typical guy would, right? You're a guy, you're herding goats, you're bored, you're in Ethiopia, it's the 9th century. You got nothing better to do. Try the berries. Just have the berries. So he eats these berries. All of a sudden he starts breaking out dance moves too with these goats, and they're all having a good time, big dance party, just him and the goats, as Saturdays are for the boys. It was probably a Saturday, they were all boy goats, they just do what they wanted to do, right? A monk comes over, again, this is all true, I'm not making anything up. A monk walks past, he's like, what the heck's going on? You're dancing with your goats. Is there some weird ritual going on? Are you like Satan? What's up? And we'll call the guy Pete, right? The guy sitting under the tree who's now dancing with his goats. Pete's all like, nah, dude, I got some magic berries. We got berries that make the goats dance. And now I'm dancing because I had some of the berries. And this monk's like, no shot. Give me some of those berries. And so he gave the monk the berries. And the monk, smart, didn't take them right away. He took them back to his wherever the heck he lives, in a mountain somewhere. And he started noticing that like all the other monk people, while they're praying, they're like falling asleep. They can't do long meditation sessions, things like that. And so he starts giving other monks the berries. And they can be awake now. They're like awake and rejuvenated and ready to go. Like, oh, maybe they're like shaking while meditating. And yeah, then slowly it evolved into using these in like a brew type thing and then roasting them. I don't know where beans came in, but that's the story of coffee. So whenever you drink coffee, whenever I drink coffee, now I'm going to think about Pete and his dancing goats, because that's life. That's how it works. And I just got latte froth all up over my nose. And I almost need to sneeze. I kind of need to sneeze. Anyways, China, right? So we talked, China's taking over the world. China just released it's called DeepSeek, an AI LLM. LLM just stands for large language model, just like OpenAI. But it's way better than OpenAI. Okay, maybe not way better, but it's way cheaper, right? So like 139 or some like just barely over middle school aged men decided that we're gonna go fundraise and raise $5.6 million selling pizzas for the pizza man. Everybody's been in middle school. They know how this goes. You knock door to door, say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, you wanna buy some pizzas? It's for my DeepSeek AI LLM that I wanna build, right? Typical things. That's what they did. So they went out, they fundraised, they got 5.6 million, spent that baby, and all of a sudden they've got a product that's just as good, if not better, than our product, OpenAI, not mine. I didn't do shit for that. Our product is in America. Sam Altman, Mr. Rocket Man also helped found it, right? Elon Musk. But the difference is Mr. Rocket Man and Sam Altman, a guy who's kind of like a middle-aged antichrist, that's what he reminds me of, is they spend like over $100 million doing GPT-4, right? 100 million. And these Chinese middle schoolers, there might not have actually been middle schoolers, I might be making that part up, but they could have been, we don't know. These Chinese middle schoolers raised $5.6 million. I'm not great at math, that's significantly less than $100 million plus, okay? They come in, they build this, they do all this cool stuff, and of course the markets are tanking because of it, which makes sense, right? So for the longest time, the United States founders of AI have been just completely inflating the price and value of AI, right? So they're saying, oh, it costs this many hundreds of millions of dollars to build this, so therefore our company is worth, valued at, you know, extra billions of dollars because, wow, we're so cool. And then these Chinese middle schoolers come in, they're like, actually, no, it doesn't cost us much money. We can build the same with way less. And so the markets are correcting, right? Everybody's like, oh my gosh, America's no longer in charge, blah. And I think it's a good thing because there's gonna be a lot of competition, right? We're no longer sitting here like, we're the best, yay, we don't have to do shit. We have to do stuff, okay? That's how it works. We have to be good, and in order to be good, we have to be better. And in order to be better, we have to do good, okay? Simple math, it's not very hard. Someone like me can understand it. If I can understand it, you can understand it. So, China's taking over the world with their AI. And honestly, I'm excited about it because that just means there's gonna be a lot more competition. There's gonna be a lot more things released in the near future. So for instance, OpenAI typically releases stuff maybe, I'm making a number up, maybe like once every quarter, okay? So 4 times a year. Now they've just released like 4 different things in the last week, okay? Because they're falling behind. And they don't want to die to China. Because, to be fair, nobody really wants to die to China. So enough about China. Let's talk about today's sponsor of the podcast. Can you guess? No one. This is the first one. Duh. You can't be that dumb. You didn't think that I was actually going to say that there was a sponsor. If I had to say the sponsor is myself, yeah, we'll go with that. No one. Anyways, let's get back on track, right? Helicopters, airplanes. What do the two have in common? Nothing. Well, they both fly. Okay. January 29th, if I look at my big calendar, maybe Wednesday, January 29th, 2025. A Black Hawk helicopter. Yeah, one of the big cool ones from, you know, all the action movies and things like that. You see the big military Black Hawk helicopter, all that cool stuff. That collided with a passenger plane in Washington, D.C. I think everybody died, which is kind of a shocker, actually. And I was looking at it, I think only 67 people, I say only as if that's not that bad. 67 people died, or like 69, maybe, might have died, okay? But then you think about it, like a normal passenger plane that I'm normally on is like, you know, 3 on each side, and there's like 20, 30 rows. Math ain't mathin', so I'm assuming it was a smaller, maybe private-ish plane. The helicopter had maybe 2 or 4 people on it. I don't know the details, but small plane, big helicopter. They decided that they wanted to play a game of tag, and that did not work out very well, especially when you're 300 feet in the air. The interesting thing about this, speaking of 300 feet in the air, is typically in Washington, D.C., helicopters are not allowed to operate above 200 feet. 200 feet? No. No, you can't go anything higher than that. That's like a speed limit, right? So imagine, I'm driving down the interstate, I'm like, I'm gonna go 100 miles an hour over the speed limit. Because that's the right thing to do. And I can't imagine nothing bad is gonna happen going 100 miles an hour over the speed limit. Well, guess what? Something bad happened. And the other thing with it is, so that was a weird thing, right? The second thing is there was only one person in charge of doing the air control thing for those 2 aircraft? UFOs, we'll call them. For those 2 UFOs, there was only one person doing the thing. One. Okay? With that, okay, I'm not going to say that it was the person's fault, because apparently they warned the Black Hawk helicopter, yeah, said that right, 2 minutes prior to the crash, that the jet was coming in. So I don't know if it was, if it was like they purposefully were like, hey, look, a plane, let's go say hi. Or maybe they just didn't realize that they were flying 100 feet above where they were supposed to, and that they forgot about the jet coming in, and that they just so happened to be at the right place at the right time to get crashed into. Who knows, right? I mean, my thought on it, right, is the air control lady or person, dude, man, guy, whatever it was, is a lot to blame for this if they don't say that it was an intentional act by the helicopter operator, right? Because you should know how to do your job properly, and you should do it effectively to where nothing bad happens, right? And that was kind of Trump's stance on it, and I don't know if I necessarily agree with how he went about updating the American public on this, right? So he comes out on stage, he's like, yeah, it was bad, but DE&I hires are terrible, which I agree, okay? If I'm gonna hire somebody, I'm not gonna hire them off of the race or the color of their skin or where they're from or anything like that. I'm gonna hire them because they do the job and they do it well, because they're qualified for the job. I think there was a joke like somebody is in surgery and you hear the surgeon go, can I have that metal scratchy thingy, what's it called again? Just that knife looking thing. You wouldn't want to hear that. If you're on a freaking surgery bed and you're awake and you hear the surgeon do that, you're like, bro, get me out of this bed, right? Same thing applies. If I'm gonna hire somebody to control air traffic, they should probably know how to control air traffic. Trump just came out swinging though, like he normally does, in full Trump fashion. He's kind of, it's funny, it's almost similar to Andrew Tate, right? What Andrew Tate does is he'll just say the most absurd thing because he knows that people are gonna react to it. And so he hides some truth in the way that he says it, or he hides some truth in what he says, but then formulates it in a way to deliver it so crazy that people just can't help but react. And so I had to switch over to my phone camera because the camera just died. Hopefully this isn't a terrible view, and hopefully you can still hear me pretty well. But I can't remember where I was at. I think we were talking about Andrew Tate's delivery and how Trump kind of did the same thing with helicopter and airplane thing. Either way, now I have to mentally deal with the thought of a helicopter trying to 360 no-scope me out of the sky when I'm just flying and trying to do my travels. Okay, nobody really wants to think about that. It's honestly terrifying. I'm terrified. I'm traveling maybe 1, 2, 3, a lot of times this year. That's a lot of planes. That's a lot of potential helicopters trying to 360 no-scope me out of the sky. That's a lot. I'm not ready for it. I'm not ready for it. Anyways, that's enough for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the episode, please like, comment, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Spotify, subscribe, follow, rate 5 stars, whatever it is you do. And then if you're watching anywhere else, I don't even know what the heck you do. So just do what you do on that thing and show support if you liked it. If you didn't like it, just don't say anything, okay? Because I'm fragile. I don't want to cry at night because that would be sad. Bye.